In today's show, the Trailblazers come back from a disappointing road trip and get a much-needed palate-cleansing win against the Indiana Pacers. Deni Avdija returns from injury. Scoot Henderson returns to form. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen. Coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, we're talking about the Blazers bouncing back from a tough road trip. We'll talk about their game against the Rockets to wrap up a road trip on Friday where they struggled in the fourth quarter and could not score enough to hang with Houston, although they were right there in the balance and when the game was in the balance of the final 2 minutes or so. And then a huge bounce back win, a palate cleanser. Scoot Henderson plays his best game of the season. Deni Avdija returns after a 6-game absence and looks like Deni Avdija and the Blazers crush the Pacers. We'll get into both of those games. We'll talk Scoot, we'll talk Deni, we'll talk Blake Wesley and young Hansen's bromance. We'll get into all of it. Let's start with quickly Friday's game. Blazers wrap up a road trip in Houston. Deni Avdija doubtful, does not play. Chris Murray questionable with an illness, does not play. They start out strong in this game. They lose 106-99. Here's your fastest recap. But they led by as many as 13. It was 31-18 in the first quarter. Tumani hit 4 threes. He had 14 points in the first quarter. Jeremy Grant had 11. Blazers hit 7 threes overall. They're kind of like the offense is humming, but you know they're going to come back to earth because 7 of 12 from threes, just like too many to make. Blazers missed 10 free throws in the first half. That would be a theme of this game, and they're down 1 heading into halftime. But they're only down 1. The Rockets are crushing them in the paint. They have 38 of their 57 points in the paint, and only 9 of those are second chance points. They're really just getting downhill and scoring. But the Blazers, they're not quite getting blown out despite cooling off a bunch from 3, just 2 of 8 in the quarter. But third quarter, out of halftime, neither teams can really score rough offensive quarter for both teams. 9 lead changes in the quarter, back and forth. Drew Holiday has 11 in the third. Blazers are up 5 heading into the fourth quarter, and they're kind of up 5 despite not shooting well from 3 in the middle 2 quarters, despite missing a bunch of free throws through 3 quarters. But the defense has been pretty good. The Rockets have not been able to score. They're playing the second night of a back-to-back after going to overtime, and the Portland is kind of not in control by any means, but they're in a good spot to be winning heading into the fourth quarter. And Matisse Thybulle has a 3 to put them up 8 with 11 minutes left. And the Rockets over the next 4 minutes just flip the game on its head. The Rockets take the lead for good at about the 7-minute mark. Scoot Henderson drives and just makes a predetermined telegraph lob pass with 3 defenders in between him and his target, Donovan Clingan. It's just an awful pass. It's an awful decision, an awful pass. The Rockets get a run out. Amen Thompson gets a dunk. The Rockets now have the lead back in 4 minutes from down 8 to up 2. And Thiago Splitter takes a timeout, and Scoot Henderson's not going to play for the final 7 minutes of the game because he was bad and they needed to go in another direction. But the Rockets are just getting started. They're going to they're in the midst of ripping off a 23-4 run, capped by 2 Kevin Durant free throws. They're up 11 and with 3:40 left, but the Blazers are kind of like, they have a vague chance late. Matisse Thybulle gets a steal and a layup, cuts the lead to 5 with 53 seconds left. Jeremy Grant picks Amen Thompson's pocket at midcourt, just before he crosses midcourt, and the Blazers have got the ball 2-on-1. It's Jeremy Grant with Tumani Kamara flanking him. If he's trying to throw a lob. If the lob gets completed, the Blazers will be down 3 with 40 seconds left and a chance to defend and have one shot to tie the game, or maybe a couple, I guess, if you play the foul game, but a shot to tie the game. And instead, Jeremy Grant's lob gets picked off. Amen Thompson tracks back and just uses his elite athleticism. He was dominant in the game. Steals a lob pass. The Rockets go the other way. Run clock. Kevin Durant hits a jumper. Instead of a 3-point game, the Rockets were able to get a steal, run clock, and score, and now it's a 7-point game with 15 seconds left. Rockets hold on, win 106-99. That's their fastest recap in the West. Blazers shot under 40% in the second half, just 3 of 19 from 3. They started 7 of 12, but 3 of 19 from 3 in the second half. After that hot start, 5 of 27 from 3 in the final 3 quarters. 7 of their first 12, 5 of their next 27. But they just, you're just not going to win a game. Obviously, the shooting matters, but they also just missed a cajillion free throws, 21 of 37 at the free throw line. That's 16 missed free throws. You're going to miss 16 free throws in a game, you lose by 7. You make 70% of your free throw attempts, 75% like a normal shooting night. You're in the game. You're in the game the entire time. And then, 16 missed free throws is huge. And then that drought in the fourth quarter, over the first 8 minutes and 20 seconds of the fourth quarter, they were 3 of 15 and they didn't get to the free throw line. 2 of 9 on twos during that stretch. They just could not score. And then they sort of vaguely had a chance, but they really didn't. Scoot Henderson, brutal in this game. 1 of 9, 1 of 4 from 3, 4 points. He didn't play, like I said, didn't play in the final 7 minutes because he's just no good. He's just bad. But here's the thing. That wrapped up a road trip. The Blazers come back off that road trip, and they're playing a team that is struggling. The longest active losing streak in the league, 8 straight games for the Pacers. According to Tony East of Locked On Pacers, shout out to Tony, the Pacers have not been within 10 points of an opponent since the first week of February. It's been a month since they've played even a single-digit game. So this is kind of exactly what the Blazers need. They need a palate cleanser. They need to play a bad team, and they need to handle them and treat them like a bad team, and they really need Scoot to bounce back. In pregame in the arena, the early questions from to Tiago Splitter before the game started are all centered around Scoot Henderson. What are you working on to get him back? What are his spirits like? What has been the focus with you and the coaching staff? Do you think that you can do better? Put him in better positions. All these things. It is. Everyone is thinking the same thing. Scoot Henderson, particularly over the last 4 games, well, really the last 3 of the road trip, but 3 or 4 games, has just looked awful. Not bad, worse than bad, because it's not just that he's not playing well. There are very few things that you can point to as a positive. Not that he's not just not shooting well. It's he hasn't been impactful on defense because he hasn't been shooting well. The playmaking hasn't been there. Just he's not getting downhill with the same verve. He just looks rough. And so everyone, media-wise, coming into the arena is Scoot needs a bounce-back game. And then the Blazers come out in the first quarter against the Pacers. Here's a recap. The Blazers win 131-111. Here's a fast recap in the West for the game against the Pacers on Sunday evening back at the Moda Center. Blazers get back 30-30 after 1. They jumped out to a big lead. Pacers come back. It's tied after 1 quarter. Scoot has 6 points and a cool assist in the first quarter. He had a lob. He drives in with the ball in his right hands and off the dribble throws a little scoop alley-oop to Rob Williams. Sick highlight, good pass, 6 points and an assist. He missed his first 3 from the corner, and at this point, I'm writing down that 3 looks pretty good because he had missed so many threes, just ugly shots, right? Just ugly shots during this last stretch. He was 10 of 41 over his last 4 games from the floor, 10 of 41, and to see him just he misses a 3 from the corner, and it's hey, you know what? That was a pretty good-looking miss. That hit the rim soft. It hit the back, hit the inside of the back rim. It was a very normal miss from someone who looked comfortable taking the shot. And then he hits another 3. He gets fouled and makes a free throw. And it's he had 6 points and an assist, and I'm totally functional point guard shift. That was a good point guard shift from Scoot. Good job. And then he looked really, really stinking good in the second quarter. And all of a sudden, this game goes from hey, Scoot was functional and pretty useful to being this was the best game Scoot has played all season, which makes it the best game Scoot has played in a year. This was Scoot looking like the Scoot that was promised or the Scoot that was believed, whatever you want to call it. But he has 28 points in this game. In the second quarter, he had 13 points, another 4 assists, 13 points, 4 assists in a quarter. That's basically what he's been averaging for a game, and he had it in a 8.5 minute stretch in the second quarter. Blazers rip off a 22-4 run to open this game open. They closed that was part of the close to the second quarter. It's a 25-8 to close the run to close the quarter, but in the middle of that, 22-4, or I guess at the beginning of that, 22-4, and they open up a 17-point lead, go into halftime up 69-52. At halftime, Scoot Henderson has 19 points, 3 boards, 5 assists. He's 7 of 9 from the floor, 2 of 4 from 3. He's made 3 of his 4 free throws, and he just looks like a ball player. With Deni back in the lineup, Chris Murray back in the lineup, and Scoot Henderson hooping, the Blazers are all of a sudden kind of blowing a team out. We'll talk more about that in the second segment. More thoughts on Deni, more thoughts on Scoot, because Deni is a big important part of the story. He was kind of overshadowed by Scoot Henderson having like a loudly capital G good game. Let's talk all about that in the second segment. Join me there, won't ya? First, though, I want to tell you that today's program is brought to you by Quo. Spring is a natural reset point, and if there's one thing that can quietly cost businesses money, it's messy communication. So why not get a reset? Missed calls, scatter texts, no clear thread of who said what. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses. It lets your entire team share one business number so you never miss a call or a text or an opportunity. It's everything is going to live in one clean thread, calls, texts, and voicemails. The whole team sees the conversation so nothing falls through the cracks. It just makes your business feel more organized and responsive, and you can make this the season that no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedonnba. That's quo.com/lockedonnba. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Today's program is also brought to you by PrizePicks. Listen. You can shoot your shot on PrizePicks. You can get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. PrizePicks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5 lineup. So make every dunk, every assist, every big play, make it count. PrizePicks is the #1 daily fantasy sports app pick. It's super simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and if your picks are right, you cash in. You can build a lineup across a bunch of different sports, mix and match with basketball, baseball, hockey, college hoops, soccer, golf, and more. Plus, they got features like early payouts. So if a player gets off to a hot start and you have the option to cash out. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Still a pass first point guard. Oops. I usually do that in the third segment. I guess we're doing it here too. You're still listening to Locked On Blazers. If you're living that everyday lifestyle, go make it official. Join the Locked On Everydayer Club. $5 a month, $50 a year. Access to the members-only Discord. Ad-free audio of this podcast. Locked On Blazers. No interruptions. Go visit the show notes for more. LockedOnBlazers.supercast.com. So Blazers up 17 at halftime against the Pacers. They're rolling. Scoot Henderson's got 19. They're hooping. Like this is a straight up as good as they've looked. Obviously they're playing like the Pacers are bad, right? The Pacers are bad. They're kind of like bad in a way that it's almost hard to believe because they were very good last year and they have a lot of the same parts in the game, but they're bad. This team's struggling. Like I said, they're losers of 8 in a row. They've been getting beat by double digits, but the fact that the Blazers are just kind of handling a team that's not very good is very notable, right? Like they just haven't had, even like beating the Grizzlies, right, in Memphis. It wasn't like they just like beat the snot out of the Grizzlies. Kind of like had to get past them. But with Deni back, they just like look better. And when Scoot is playing the way he did in that first half, they look like, they've got some stuff, right? They've got some stuff. Like I want to be clear that I don't like one game is not the thing that's going to like be proof of anything, right? Like consistency is the name of the game. But I thought Scoot, after that awesome first half, he had 2 of my favorite plays of the game in the third quarter. Probably my favorite, most notable play from Scoot in this game. He made threes, right? He made threes off the dribble, had some catch and shoot threes. I think him making catch and shoot threes is really important. I think him, stepping into top of the key threes is important. But some of that is just like, yeah, it's a good shooting night. The stuff that like I really am curious to see from Scoot is like, in the third quarter, he has a play at the top of the key where he gets a crossover left to right, beats Pascal Siakam, gets downhill, and as Siakam tries to recover, Scoot just sort of flows right into a reverse layup to protect himself from the rim. It's a great drive. It's a great move. He was very fluid. It's like, hey, these guys can't guard the rim. They can't stay in front of me. Easy peasy, get downhill, score, and make a layup. Like that type of stuff is what I feel like was missing from Scoot's game, is the downhill attacking. It's kind of floating a bunch and kind of like, oh, I can figure it out here some way, somehow. Oh, Drew Holiday's on the ball. I'll just kind of float around on the right wing until I chuck up a three-pointer because I don't know how to attack right now. Blows past Siakam, great reverse layup. And then also in the third quarter, they run a bunch of that stuff at the top of the key. There's like delay action, or sometimes some other versions of it. But like where Donovan Clingan gets the ball at the top of the key, and he can either swing and go set a pick and roll, or they can run a dribble handoff, or guys will cut off of him first and he'll get to make some backdoor reads. And so Scoot, hits it to Clingan at the top of the key and then cuts middle, like right through the middle of the paint, and realizes he's open and kind of flashes a look to Clingan, and Clingan threw him the ball, and Scoot scores inside. Scoot cutting off the ball and scoring at the rim. Scoot driving downhill, blowing past people and scoring at the rim. To me, those are the skills that I really, really want to see him be like repeatable stuff, because you can't always repeat a really good shooting night. He shot the ball well in this game, but 3 of 7. He didn't blow. It was a good shooting night, not an amazing one, right? But if he goes 2 of 7, that's a totally fine shooting night as well. But it's like it doesn't feel as big. But the ball, I don't want to judge Scoot on just ball go in or not. He definitely needed to make shots, but I don't want to judge him on ball go in. I think those functional plays there, and then he had a late relocate to the right wing on a Deni drive, and Deni kicked out to him, and he just stepped in confidently to a top of the key, or to a right wing three. They just needed this from Scoot. He was, like I mentioned, 10 of 41 in his last 4 games and 3 of 21 from 3. He made 10 shots in 4 games, shooting under 25% from the floor. He was 10 of 15 from the floor tonight. He made 9 shots through 3 quarters. He almost made as many shots in the first 36 minutes of this game coming off the bench than his 4 previous games combined. He was 3 of 21 from 3 over his last 4 games, 3 of 7 tonight. The shooting was really nice to see. The playmaking was really nice to see. This wasn't like the crazy, I've seen Scoot have better playmaking games, but 6 assists, 0 turnovers. Turnovers actually haven't been a huge problem over the last 4 games. It's mostly been the bricks, but just like decision making in general, right? He kind of got pulled in that game against Houston because of bad decision making, because of telegraphing and predetermining a read and throwing it into a crowd for no reason. I thought he played free. I thought he played with purpose, and then like I mentioned, so the obsession before the game obsession. It's kind of just how reporting works. To varying degrees, I get it. I got to finish this. Before I get into Scoot, I got to finish this fastest recap in the West. Is this going to take 20 minutes? It is. So the Blazers up 20 after 3, fourth quarter, gets into garbage time, and late is the play of the night, and it doesn't involve Deni, it doesn't involve Scoot, it involves Blake Wesley dropping Jarris Walker. He gets about a minute left in the game, crossover, Jarris Walker backpedals and falls down. Actually, he sprained his ankle. Afterwards, Rick Carlisle, Pacers head coach, said they'll kind of have to see if he's okay because he sprained his ankle at the very end of the game. Maybe literally broke his ankles. Blake Wesley drops Jarris Walker with a crossover, drives down the right side of the lane, flips a pass inside to young Hansen, who dunks and one. And Blake Wesley is so hyped, he jumps up and down, starts poking Hansen in the chest like you, and then jumps up and hugs him. Hansen's flashing a huge smile. Those two are homies. Blake told me after the game that they were working out in the summer even before the practice had started in training camp, and they just kind of bonded getting together in the gym, and he's just always kind of felt like they have a special bond, and he's always rooting for Hansen, and like their sort of friendship kind of started there, and it has he's always excited to play with him, and he just couldn't help himself. We've seen it before, but this was a bigger version of Blake Wesley being incredibly excited. Maybe the highlight of the night, Blake Wesley jumping up and down and giving Hansen a hug for a garbage time and one dunk. Maybe a little too much dip on his chip, but it was fun. It was a fun moment. Blazers win 131-111. That's your fast recap in the West. Like I said, ties the biggest margin of victory they've had this season. They haven't really thrashed too many teams, and also sometimes in garbage time you're up 24 and the other team scores to make it a 17-point win or whatever. I thought, so, Scoot finishes this game 28 points on 10 of 15, 3 of 7 from 3, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 3 boards, 6 assists, with a steal and no turnovers. Boy, did they need a palate cleanser. I mentioned sort of the obsession with him before the game. How are you going to get right? How are you going to do these things? And Splitter talked in very coach speak about how you got to control what you can control. But afterwards in the locker room, Scoot, speaking to reporters, kind of said he tries not to get too high or too low. Again, sort of classic cliches, but he did come back and spent yesterday in the gym, at the Moda Center getting shots up, right? Not at the PF, but at the arena getting shots up and working with the Blazers shooting coach John Townsend and really focusing on his mechanics, not so much the anything other than does it feel good? No, he said he wasn't necessarily counting makes. He was counting, let's get some good makes in, some shots that feel good coming off. And then he spent, the pregame watching a little film with Gil Abraham and Pooh Jeter, some of the Blazers assistants, and said the focus there was just be who I am, get downhill, drive, take good shots, be athletic and attack the rim and make those decisions as a downhill player. And I thought he really just played with a certain level of confidence in this game that I don't think we've seen from him over the last little bit. Obviously, it's 4 games. It's not be all end all, but it was 4 enough bad games when sort of the exception to this point in Scoot's career has been him playing well. Then the rule has been him playing poorly. So it kind of felt loud. It was oh man, we're getting pretty deep into this thing, and Scoot is still struggling to have this game. Even it's the Pacers are bad, right? What good players do is they torch bad teams, and Scoot torched them. He really did. He played with an ease in this game. And I also thought he was competitive on defense. I thought he did a really good job sort of setting the tone with intensity by just getting into Andrew Nembhard's dribble and being a physical defender. He's pretty good on the ball. He's getting a little lost in the team concept, and he can sometimes pursue and get out of position. But in terms of being aggressive and using his his strength and his big hands to be a pest on defense, Scoot can make plays there, and I thought he did in this game. I thought he played such a sort of focused, in control, but still aggressive game. And this is the best game he's played all year. Best game he's played in a long time. This was a huge, huge sort of sigh of relief moment. Although he rejected that idea of a sigh of relief, you better believe this was a sigh of relief for Scoot Henderson. Okay, so all this time and we still haven't talked Deni Avdija. Let's talk a lot about Deni Avdija to close the show. Join me in the third segment, won't ya? First, though, let's talk FanDuel. College basketball's nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night, from early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts. There's always action on the board, and now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into an even bigger potential win with the College Basketball Parlay Profit Boost. Build any college basketball parlay you want, rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your flavor. You can mix spreads, point totals, player props to match how you see the slate playing out, and then you can apply your profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, go bold, ride with your favorite team, hate on the rivals, whatever you want to do. It's your parlay, your style now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Today's show is also brought to you by the good folks over there at Indeed. If you've got workplace chaos, if you've got a full inbox, if you've got deadlines that are stacking up and you still have one position at your company that's sitting open, you need Indeed sponsored jobs, because when the pressure's on, Indeed sponsored jobs helps you reach people who actually fit what you're looking for, with skills, with experience, with the right location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I'm going to talk to you during this ad read, the companies like yours are going to have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. And listen, if you are a listener to the show, which you are, because you're hearing my voice right now, you can get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support my show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You still listen to Locked On Blazers. Let's talk Deni Avdija. He returns. A 6-game absence, and Deni's back in the building. He's actually missed 15 of the Blazers' last 23 games, but in one of those games, he played 59 seconds. In the other one of those games, he played about a little over 17 minutes and left, did not return in the second half. So really, he's missed 16 and a half of the Blazers' last 23 games. His first game he missed, he got hurt on January 11th. First game he missed was the 13th of January. So, closing in on sort of 2 months, obviously with a little break in there for the All-Star break. But then he just hasn't played, and then when he has played, he hasn't always looked like himself. He had one awesome half against the Sixers, and he had some moments, right? But for the most part, when he's played, he just he's not right, or he's not as good as he has been. I thought in this game, early on, he gets inside and scores through contact with J Huff right away in the game. He makes a drive and a pass out to Jeremy Grant, who hits a right corner three because Jeremy's money in the right corner. I thought right away, it's he looks better. And afterwards, Deni talks about how it's not so much about figuring out how to play with the pain. It's getting to a point where he can just play the way he plays, because he needs to be physical. Deni Avdija needs to be a downhill driver. He needs to smash into folks. He needs to finish through contact. That's what makes him special. If you take away his superpower, he is going to be a very mediocre version of himself. So he needs to get to a place health-wise with his back that he can do the things that makes him special, right? He's like a borderline all-NBA contributor this year, right? He's on the All-Star team. And a deserving all-star, like I said, before he got hurt, he was putting together, one of the best statistical seasons in franchise history. But he just hasn't, for 23 games, the last 23 games, just hasn't really looked quite like himself when he's played. And then he's missed a lot of games, including 6 in a row. He sits out this road trip and you feel like, okay, what do they do with him? He's listed as questionable coming into this game, and pregame, Tiago Splitter says he's going to play, and he said he's on a minutes limit, but not a crazy one. And Deni played just shy of 25 minutes. He came back in the fourth quarter. I don't know why. I didn't like that. He didn't need to play anymore. He played well, and through 3 quarters, he played 21 minutes, 15 points, 4 boards, 5 assists. Played well, looked pretty good. The outside shot wasn't falling, and he wasn't as efficient inside the arc as he can be, but just watching him play, he looked like himself and played like the Deni Avdija you kind of remember. Not a perfect game, but he hasn't played in, 2 weeks. And he looked like the style, his style and the physicality and the downhill drives and the passing out of drives and all of that. He looked like himself. He looked like Deni. So I didn't even think he needed to play in the fourth quarter, but he did come in indeed and play in the fourth quarter. Finished with 18 points to go with 5 boards, 8 assists, just 1 turnover. 6 of 16 from the floor, 0 of 4 from 3, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Blazers, instead of missing 16 free throws, 22 of 27 at the stripe against the Pacers. Boy, is it easy when you make the easy ones. I thought Deni, this is a great first step for Deni. The next step is stacking. He talks about it, stacking days. Is his focus right now is not to have one good game and feel good. It's to be able to just play and stack good performances and stack days where you feel like your body's right. I think tomorrow is a big day for Deni when he wakes up on Monday to where is he physically, where is he at, right? And then there's a mental part of that, the recovery stuff and all it takes to, get your body right. He's a pretty diligent worker from all I've heard in terms of getting his body right, but this thing isn't going to magically disappear. This will be something he'll work through for the rest of the season until he can really take some time off in the off season. So I feel the same way about Deni as I do about Scoot here. Deni looked very good against the Pacers. He looked like himself. He played like himself. He got downhill. He finished through traffic. He came back in the fourth quarter, had an and one through contact, scored at the rim, and kind of toppled over. And it's okay, get him out of there. But I feel the same way about Deni as I do about Scoot. Deni played really well. Scoot played really well. Good first game. Good bounce back game, a palate cleanser. That's what I feel like this is. The Blazers had a bad taste in their mouth from a really rocky road trip where it was what's the point of this? What is the exercise we're doing here such that this team's just going to sort of limp into the play-in? What's the point? handling a bad team, just saying, you know what, that's a bad basketball team and we're not that. We're going to beat the snot out of them. Snot beaten. And the quest for Scoot is consistency. The quest for Deni is, can you stay on the court and continue to be yourself? We've seen you be consistently very good. This is the sort of health limitations. That's sort of outside my understanding of how it all works. I don't know what he's going to be like health-wise, but it's the recovery and sort of the mental commitment to playing when you are not going to quite be yourself, but you can get really close to it if you do the certain things. And for Scoot, it's, can he stack a couple good games together? So instead of feeling like this is the aberration, it feels like that 4-game stretch where he was really struggling. It's like, yeah, he had a rough patch and then he did this. Because if you get to the end and then he did this part, you get to the end and what's next, you can feel really good about it. Consistency is the name of the game, particularly young players. Like, this consistency is really the challenge for Scoot here. How many good, over the final 17 games with 9 of them at home against some bad basketball teams. They go out on the road for some longer stretches, but those are not super duper challenging trips. I think the Blazers have a pretty clean path to 38 wins. And if they can beat some better teams along the way, they have a path to more than that. But I think just looking at the schedule, if they kind of take care of business against the teams that are not good and not interested in winning, they have a pretty clean path to winning 38 games. Take care of business, have Scoot stack consecutive days, have Deni continue to look healthy, then when you get to April, you're going to feel better about where you are. But if the consistency is not there, it might feel more like last week. And I think that's the challenge, right? Is the doing it every day. That's the NBA is a meritocracy. You can't fake the funk. You play 82 games. They just, even with 17 to go, they just keep coming, including Tuesday against the Hornets. And next up for your old pinwheels. That's going to do it for today's show. That's what we do here. 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. Tell your friends about the program and come back for 4 more shows the rest of the week. I appreciate you listening. I will talk to you soon.